They eat because the food is in front of them, just simply because it's in front of them. They eat because they're emotionally distracted. But I think what you're also talking about is this idea that it just is so rewarding. And when they're not eating, they're missing out on having pleasure. And it's just fun to eat, even though it doesn't feel good after. And even though the food could be making me sick. And it's really putting some space between the thought to eat and the action to recognize, wait, pleasure is actually in your health and in feeling good and in actually sometimes saying no.
Are you curious about discovering ways of making your life better? Then welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Nickman, and this is The Exploding Human. Listen in while I talk with all kinds of people in the fields of personal growth, health and healing, alternative therapies, psychology, spirituality, environment, and the future. I'm looking for those answers that make life better for everyone. You'll meet cutting-edge practitioners, doctors, artists, filmmakers, business people, and those who have overcome challenges. The brave, the curious, anyone who is out there helping us humans to explore, expand, and explode. Hey, welcome to The Exploding Human. My name is Bob Nickman. My guest today is celebrity dietitian, nutritional therapist, and author Kim Shapira. We're going to be talking about weight loss and her 25 years of experience helping people not only to lose weight, but to keep it off, with the emphasis on keeping it off. We talk about some of the habits people get into: stress eating, anxiety eating, eating for reward. She has a tremendous amount of experience working with all kinds of people to help them with their relationship with food. She's got a new book out, which we're going to talk about. It's called This Is What You're Really Hungry For, and the 6 Simple Rules to Transform Your Relationship with Food. Really enjoyed talking to Kim. I think you're going to enjoy listening to this. Here she is. This is Kim Shapira. Kim, it's so great to meet you. I really enjoyed our little pre-show chat. And how are you today?
I am great. I'm happy to be here, and I enjoyed it as well.
Great. We're going to talk food. We're going to talk nutrition, health, and all the wonderful things you do. How did you get into this? Because it's not something a lot of people, even like we were saying, a lot of people don't even know about this.
Yeah. Well, I'm a registered dietitian, and I grew up, the backstory is that I was a sick kid, and somebody told me that food could make you sick or healthy. And I latched on to being healthy. And so I went to graduate school and learned all I could and opened a private practice and started putting people on diets thinking they want to be healthy too. And my first client, I often share the story because it just caused me to pivot so harshly and quickly. I put her on a diet. She lost 30 pounds. And then she said to me, I'm going to gain the weight back. And I thought, why in the world would you do this? I literally just helped you become healthy. We lowered all of your metabolic dysregulations. You're in great shape. Go forward. Don't gain the weight back. And she said, my husband wants to be intimate with me all the time, and I was molested as a child. And I thought, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, because obviously I can't get people just to eat kale. And they didn't teach me about this in graduate school. So I started kind of recognizing some patterns in my clients. They were eating in the same way that I was shopping. And, my whole life, and at this point I was 27, my whole life, people were saying to me, you shop too much, you have a shopping problem. And I kept saying, no, I just like new things, not at all. But the truth is that when I was on my way to UCLA, which I went every single week for 6 years, I had been told at a really young age that we'll go shopping after your doctor's appointment. And it kind of started a whole shopping addiction for me that I didn't really understand. And so once that client said to me, I'm going to gain the weight back, I started understanding that my clients are eating exactly the way that I'm shopping. And I need to help them with their relationship with food rather than what they're eating to help them have sustainable long-term results.
Yeah, because can be used as a way to manage feelings. That's for sure. It's
for sure.
You see it most commonly. Let's reward ourselves to celebrate with sugar, which is essentially poison, but but it tastes great.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
even if it's poison, it's not going to stop me.
right. Cake, it's birthday cake. It's not birthday
Yeah.
kale. It's birthday cake.
Yeah, but it's as much as it is to celebrate, it's also people find comfort. A gentleman this morning, a client told me how he found it so soothing to eat while he was watching TV, right? There's lots of like irrational reasons or things that we think food is when it's really just fuel. And we're not even in our rational mind if we think food is anything other than fuel. And that's the most important place to start.
So there's the emotional piece that we're talking about here. And then, and I think with some people, from what I've learned, and I know enough to be dangerous, the sometimes there's biological reasons people overeat and gain weight, isn't there?
There can be.
Yeah, so what are some of those? Because maybe there's folks listening that go, well, I'm pretty stable person. I don't really have that, but I start to eat, and the more I eat, the hungrier I get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you've just said is so many complicated situations, right? Because if we're just specifically talking about hunger, and hunger is isolated to your stomach, it's not in your hands, it's not in your chest, it's not in your mind. It's only in your stomach, and it's not scary and it's not painful. But we are like spiritual beings having this human experience. And so we're driven for survival, and food is one way to survive. So people eat because they're physically craving food. They're having withdrawals from sugar, let's say. And so they're driven to eat. They eat because the food is in front of them, just simply because it's in front of them. They eat because they're emotionally distracted. But I think what you're also talking about is this idea that it just is so rewarding. And when they're not eating, they're missing out on having pleasure. And it's just fun to eat, even though it doesn't feel good after. And even though the food could be making me sick. And it's really putting some space between the thought to eat and the action to recognize, wait, pleasure is actually in your health and in feeling good and in actually sometimes saying no.
So there's must be some techniques to think it through before you overdo it.
I would say.
Yes.
So one thing I would say if this problem is occurring at home is I would immediately put a really pretty pitcher of water and a nice glass on your counter and create a new habit that every single time you go into the kitchen, you start by pouring yourself some water. Because again, we want to put space between the thought to eat and the action to eat, right? Because we're so impulsive. So that water will give you some space. The second thing I would do is to kind of practice asking yourself, where is my mind? So saying something as simple as, where is my body? And then letting yourself know it's right here in this moment. And then asking yourself, where is my mind? Then taking a second to find your mind. And most likely your mind will be on a conversation you had last week or on what problem you're trying to solve tomorrow. Either way, if your mind is not exactly in this moment, you should not be eating. You should be repeating it until your mind is in this moment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because the past and the future are not great places to reside when you're not really there.
Right. We need to be right here.
I was sort of getting at the fact that there may be some biological reasons that I know there's let's put it this way. There's certain foods that you can't stop eating them once you start. And other foods, you never hear people, oh, I ate so much broccoli. I can't, I'm so full.
Well, sometimes you too, actually, sometimes when people think that the food is so healthy, they're going to eat when they're not hungry, even strawberries. And anytime we eat when we're not hungry, it gets converted to fat. That's how amazing our body is. But what you're actually saying, if we slow it down and we just think about why somebody is eating, I'm going to give you a story to reference this. I had a client who was watching her son walk into the kitchen. And she says to the son, what are you doing? And he says, I'm grabbing something to eat. And she said, you just had lunch. He said, I know, I have my math tutor right now. And she said, okay, we'll go to your tutor. And he said, I need something fun in my mouth. So what happens is our bodies respond to stress in less than 10 seconds. 1,400 different sensations occur simultaneously, tipping off our hippocampus, our pituitary gland, and our adrenal glands. Our hippocampus is where our emotional center is, where we have the memory that food is fun. And when this gets tipped off, we immediately start thinking of how I can feel better in my body. So let's say you're eating French fries and you feel like you can't stop. If we were to slow down and just go to just the millisecond of the French fry in your mouth, what's actually happening is we're so rewarded with the anticipation I get to eat the French fry. And it's made with fat, it's made with sugar, it's tipping off so many different receptors that are causing pleasure. Just to not have a French fry feels restrictive. That's not fun. Why would I ever want to be restricted? I'm going to end up overeating if I stay in a restricted moment, right? So it's really slowing down and recognizing, wait, I already had French fries. I'm satisfied. I can have French fries anytime I want to have French fries, right? There's so many parts of this, but if we were just to narrow down what's exactly happening, it's just the simple fact that food is fun. And that is rationalizing a bad idea because we don't always need to be having fun.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
No, I'm owed fun. I'm owed it 24/7, constant fun.
That's the number one reason why people overeat at night after dinner. It's a total entitlement issue that becomes a habit, right? I worked hard all day. I didn't eat bad all day. I was with the kids all day, whatever is the reason. Now I'm giving myself this pleasurable moment in front of the TV.
Yeah, well, I totally get it. It's but when it becomes a problem, not good, not great, because then you have this the B side of it is I've overeaten, I don't feel well, I don't look good, I have guilt about it, I'm mad at myself. There's so much downside. My clothes don't fit, all this stuff. I mean, how many people that do you know that have multiple sizes of their clothes that are,
Yeah.
because, I'm going to lose weight. Particularly, I think women have it more because they have babies and then they lose the weight, but then they maybe gain weight and then they, those are my fat jeans. Oh, now they're falling off because I've lost weight. Now I can't, you know what I mean?
I mean, we need to throw all of those clothes out because they're terrible reminders of what we're not achieving every day. And we just need to clear the space.
So yeah, that's an interesting thing. It's like, well, I don't want to throw these out because what if I need them? What if I put, what if I gain or lose and why do I want to buy clothes again? Because I'm sure people do that. They throw them out and they buy new stuff because they've fluctuated.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of shopping, as you know, and I kind of think food and shopping are interchangeable. I need both. I can't survive without either. I definitely need food more than I need clothes. But I also want to look a certain way, and my clothes in my closet help me feel that way, right? But I don't need, today I'm wearing like an off-white vest. I don't need 10 of them. I need one that I love.
No,
and
you
that's
need
how
10
I feel about
of
food.
all the different colors. Come on, go out and get it.
Right. And in my heyday, I would have for sure, even if I couldn't afford it.
Boy, it's not easy being human, is it? It's there's so many ways we can try to fix ourselves, and you were saying this before we even started. What's the one thing that people really want? And you said it, and I thought it was wonderful. I think the word was peace. Wasn't that the word you said?
Yeah. And like, when I was thinking about the title of my book and trying to just, really hone in on what was the most important message, the title of my book is called This Is What You're Really Hungry For. And it's not food. It's 100% peace around my wellness, my body, the way that I feel, the way that I look, my financial stability, the fact that I have adventure. You just want to be here in this moment, peaceful.
When I'm peaceful, I'm not really wanting pretty much anything at that moment.
Right.
Yeah. It's like,
right.
Why? I feel good.
You feel good. You have enough. And like the truth is there's a difference between willpower and inner power. And, I've met a lot of people who rely on willpower only to see that it fails, because there's only a short amount of it that we have. But inner power, that's conviction. That's a superpower. That's posturing yourself to know exactly who you are and to trust that you have everything you need inside of you to survive the moment you're in.
So let's talk about the types of foods. I know there's no sort of one size fits all for anybody in terms of what their diet is, but there are certain things in the American diet
Yes.
that they're just not good for people, and they're just so prevalent, and they're I mean, just going to a supermarket. Look at the thing to me that bothers me the most is the cereal aisle. The one that there's an aisle for multiple types of cereal. And I look at that stuff. I don't eat any of it. Now, but when I was a kid, I did.
As a kid, you ate cereal and you've survived this long?
Apparently.
Could it be that everything in moderation might be okay? And maybe our focus on what is bad is the wrong focus? What if we focused on what's missing? And we didn't feel guilty
Look, I
about
just got
loving
tricked.
cereal.
I just got tricked.
I eat Cheerios for breakfast almost every single morning.
Well, you look great, so something must be working. Are they are they fortified?
You know they are. I love them. And you know what? They're like a great breakfast food for me. They are made out of oats. They don't hurt me. I don't feel inflamed from them. They're part of my diet and I'm okay with it. So it's kind of like saying I can't have birthday cake on my birthday. I might want it, I might not, but I want to make that decision in the moment I'm in. And I think you're right about Americans and their diet, but it's lack of adding things in that is our biggest problem. Because if we had more of the things that we need, there would be less room for the things that could be harming us.
And also less desire for the things that are harming us. This is what I think. I think if you eat healthy, and I'm talking about things that grow in the ground and, things that aren't processed and full of, junk and stuff like that. I don't try not to eat that kind of stuff. Do I sometimes? Yes, I do. Just like you have Cheerios, but the healthier I eat in terms of things that grow in the ground, let's say, or, healthy beef or whatever it is, the better I feel. And I don't want.
Wait, I did not know beef grew in the ground. Wait, hold on. What?
Well, yeah, you don't have any hamburger plants you don't have a hamburger tree in your backyard.
Please send me the link to that.
Yeah. I'm covering a couple of different types of foods because now now I'm in a different thing here because I saw in your information that got sent to me an use of protein. Were you talking about that? Something about that?
Wait, we have to go back to the food.
Okay.
Let's talk about
put
protein
that on hold, folks. We're so excited and we have a time limit. That's why we're going like this.
Wait, but this is so important because, I talk about 6 simple rules. And, if we're talking about longevity, which we were talking about before we pressed record, there are more pillars. There are 2 additional pillars. I have 6, and then the 2 additional ones would be meditation and social connection. And so those are the things, the links that help you, stay alive longer. But my rule number 2 is to eat what you love, with the caveat that you have to make sure the food loves you back. And so I think when we have shame or persecution around food, then we actually become a little bingier and we get stuck. I think if we have permission to eat food and we can see how the food affects us just on our own, then all of a sudden we don't care about the food anymore. It's easier to say no to that food when we feel that way. But I have to tell you, I was at Stagecoach all weekend and food was hard to come by, to be honest. And at one point I had a churro for dinner. Now in my normal day, I don't eat a churro, but kind of like when in Rome, that's it. But I think it's really important to figure out who you are, what kind of eater you are. And if you get off track, don't even think about it, but just get back on track as soon as you can, right? I think that's going to be a healthier approach. I think calling food healthy is scary because some people have diarrhea from celery. Some people have diarrhea, from blueberries. And so really being able to identify what foods make you feel right, and then adding in the essentials to make sure your body can handle all those noxious chemicals from pesticides, fungicides, or eating processed foods. And those things would be a lot, like at least 4 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day, fermented foods, probiotic, omega-3, and fiber. Adding those in, focusing on adding those in are going to help you more than focusing on what's bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I haven't had success with helping people focus on what's bad. That doesn't work for me. Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I don't.
All right.
I don't. Should I?
No. All right. That's good. Okay. Protein. I think we don't have anywhere to store protein. So the idea that we should have a lot of protein or be adding in protein without actually understanding what protein does can cause people to overeat when they're not hungry. And we only have a certain amount of room in our body. So we should be eating it as part of our diets, but only when we're hungry, not eating it just because somebody's telling us that it's good for us, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. I wanted to ask you about, I know you have a degree in kinesiology.
Yeah.
That's something that interests me. Can you tell people exactly what that is and how maybe you use it in your clinical work?
Yeah. So my undergraduate degree is in kinesiology. Oh my gosh, I loved it. But those were the days when I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, before I really understood food and nutrition. So kinesiology is really understanding the insert and origin of your muscles and your joints and bones and how they all work together and function well. And so this is why I talk about 10,000 steps and moving our body and making sure that we're doing all sorts of activities, because not only do we want to be well and age well, we want to be able to carry our groceries in from the car and be able to put them on the top shelf without hurting ourselves and maintain our balance. And so it's really making sure that you're using every muscle in your body every single day.
Yeah, and I know a lot of folks that think like intense working out is the way to go. I'm not that person, but
Me neither.
I never wanted to do any of that stuff. Even I did the sports when I was growing up, and I didn't really, it didn't rule me, and had no sort of importance to it other than it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I think you can get a lot. This is what I've discovered for myself, that doing nothing is absolutely the worst.
The worst.
Being sedentary is not a good thing. But that if you start slow, it's easier to turn a car that's moving 5 miles an hour than one that's stopped. So if you're trying to feel healthier, just start with walking 10 minutes a day.
Yes.
5 minutes out and 5 minutes back. That's nothing. It's really nothing.
No.
Anyone can do that. The next day you do 12, next day you do 50, and then you can build to enjoying a nice walk every day. You don't have to be, doing all this very heavy duty stuff. I don't think, I think sometimes people get injured doing that. A lot of the people I know that have injuries that show up in the present or down the road are from heavy duty workouts or
sedentary, right?
Well, that too. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You have more pain, more back injuries just from sitting too often.
Yeah.
But even like we were saying, our phone's been recording our steps pretty much ever since we've had phones. So you can go to your health app on your phone and see where your average steps are and just work on building that up every single day, which is going to help you maintain your weight. It's going to give you endorphins, which is going to improve your mood. It's going to reduce your risk of sudden death by 50% by at least getting an average of 7,000 steps. It lowers your risk of Alzheimer's, almost every single disease, by moving your body. And to your point, a lot of people are really chronically stressed right now. There's so much that's affecting everybody, and we really need to work on being resilient. And if we are stressed, and we're doing a HIIT class or a high impact, we're actually adding more stress to our body. And as far as losing weight or being able to keep your weight off, you won't be able to in a stressed environment because your body thinks that you're fighting a war and it wants to protect you. So it's actually going to cause weight gain. So if you are feeling stressed, which means that your body feels tense, you're having trouble falling asleep, you're having trouble staying asleep, you're having trouble concentrating, then actually doing things that are more restorative, like yoga, Pilates, and walking, are going to help your nervous system so you can become more resilient.
You just named the three things that have helped me the most.
I believe it.
Yeah. Pilates saved me from back issues. And now I do a lot of core stuff just on my own. I don't go to the classes or anything, but I do a lot of what I learned, and I do yoga. So, and that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. It's
And I
great.
walk home from the class.
I mean, that's the best way. I
Yeah.
love it.
I've never liked weightlifting and resistance training. I don't like it, but
Yeah.
I'm told I need to do that or I'm going to deteriorate.
See, that's like also saying you need high protein. The high, I just want to circle in red and question what that means. I think we need protein, right? I don't know what high means. And then when you talk about strength training, you're in yoga, you're actually doing a lot of those things already. Yeah. So as long as you're like, one thing to look at, there's a scale, a smart scale that you can get. If it's not triggering to you, but I like to have this information for like my clients, is to look at your body fat percentage and your muscle percentage. And so it's really important to maintain like a moderate body fat. So for men, anything under 18%, and for women between 18 and 24%, this will really tell you how you're doing and help you age well.
Well, I did a DEXA scan. I guess
Oh yeah.
yeah. I had a guy on that, and they're not expensive, and there's
No.
plenty of places you can get them.
Yeah.
And
What did it tell you?
I don't remember. I was
Oh,
totally in a good range.
perfect. So
Yeah.
what you're doing is actually working. So
Yeah, I
strength
wasn't
training.
like some master of lean or anything, but I wasn't in a problem area at all. I was in a healthy
Okay,
area,
good.
and I was
Great.
fine with that. I didn't need to, I don't care
Yeah.
about a six pack. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, maybe your wife would.
She doesn't care.
Okay.
She better not care because I can't deliver.
Fine.
She might like it. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. But if I flex my stomach muscles, they're hard.
That's perfect.
They're in good shape.
And then you also want to look at your visceral fat.
How do you look? Yeah. Okay.
So the DEXA scan
Mhm.
would have shown you what your visceral fat levels are, and you definitely want that number to be under 8. So like there's a scale you can get on Amazon. It's like $30 called Renfo, and it gives you all of these important numbers. It'll tell you your weight, your body fat percentage, your BMI, your visceral fat, your skeletal muscle, your water weight, your metabolic age. It's really got a lot of great information, so you can set your goals according to that. I love it.
What's the name of it again?
Renfo, Renphro, Renfro.
Okay. And how does it measure?
Bioelectrical impedance. So it's kind of like a positive to a negative impulse. It's through your feet. The ones I use in my office are handheld. That's why I'm showing you with my hands.
Okay.
But you stand on it, and it's basically a positive impulse to a negative impulse. And depending on how hydrated you are and how fast it gets to the next impulse, is able to read your body fat percentage and water weight.
I had a guy on recently who he's the director of it's a private cadaver lab. That's what you would call it.
Okay.
And he has a ton of Instagram stuff. I can't remember it now because my memory isn't fantastic for all the guests that I have.
2 cups of vegetables a day to decrease your cognitive age by 11 years. Let's get some more vegetables in you.
I think it's more interest than cognition.
Okay. All right.
I try not to retain information that I know I'm rarely going to use.
Okay, fine.
That's what,
That's fair.
I clear out the hard drive. Because I like to think, but I also don't like to think. Those are, so anyway.
Interesting. I want to know more about
me.
that. And I want to know how to clear out the hard drive. I like that. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So I asked him this question. What are the things that you've learned the most about doing these, looking at dead bodies inside them? And he said, and the biggest one was visceral fat. How many organs are just can't even move, that are clogged. The body is so clogged up with this visceral fat that the
Yeah.
organs don't have room for themselves. And particularly in obese people, he saw it more in
Yeah.
that population. But he said that really got him to change his way of eating when he
Oh, I'm
saw
sure.
the direct, I mean,
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
And
So an obesity is a BMI higher than 27. And you can figure out your BMI by taking your weight divided by your height squared, multiply it times 704, and that will give you your BMI, or the scale will do it for you. So, if you're thinking about visceral fat, it's the fat that's surrounding your organs. And it's so thick. I mean, if you've ever cut like a brisket or a piece of meat and seen like a very fat layer, it's really difficult to get oxygen through that. And that's the problem.
yeah, it
Right.
sounds like, yeah. I mean, it's when you think about, that's the thing. We can't see it when
Right.
we're walking around, but
This
it's,
scale will tell you what it is.
yeah,
And
but
I think your DEXA scan, it has that information. So you'll be able to see.
yeah, I mean, we went over it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I did 2 episodes. I did one where we talked about it, and then the second one was after the results came back. We did a second one.
Yeah.
It
Good
was pretty
one.
fascinating, and we went through the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm
I
going to
would
listen to that
remember if
one.
there was something that was, messed up, and there wasn't. So
Do you remember the date of that one? I'm going to go listen to it, or what the
no,
title of it. I'm going to find it. All right. That
I
sounds,
can't. I
yeah.
can't even remember the guy's name, but he was a wonderful guy. I
Yeah.
remember. I know what he looks like.
Yeah.
I remember talking to him. The name has escaped me. It's, I don't even know if I mean, you'll be able to find it
Yeah. I'll
somewhere.
find it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I can try to find it myself. I have so many. I have 200 and some episodes, so I'm kind of like
I'm gonna go listen to it. And the next time I come back, we're gonna talk about it.
my results.
Your results from my perspective.
Okay, just don't scare me.
No, that's not the point. The point is to empower everyone around,
Yeah,
like to see what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how to empower people to get similar results.
yeah, and it's I think that if you like, one of the things I like about what you're talking about is there's a calmness to the way you're approaching this. It's not this fear based. You got to get it absolutely right, because there is no such thing, but two, it doesn't work, because then
It
you got
doesn't
you
work.
got as soon as you put fear on something, you got a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. I mean, we only make choices from a place of trust or fear. And again, there's that resilience piece. So much of like this chronic stress that we're all feeling makes us in this fight or flight. And the idea is to come back to, I'm actually safe right now. Maybe not in 5 minutes, but in this actual moment, I'm safe. And our mind needs constant reassurance that we're safe.
We're not out in the woods getting chased by a bear. That's not happening. So are you ever really in danger? Most of the time it's a perception that whatever's going on around you that you're not able to control is going to hurt you down the road, either
Right. Or
quickly.
someone you love.
Yeah. And it's most of the time it's not true. It's just not true. It's just this perception.
Right.
I've got to do these 10 things or everything's going to fall apart.
Right. Right. And it's basically regulating our nervous system. I'm actually surprised the gentleman who was talking about the cadavers. I mean, when we talk about like health and like longevity or healthcare in general, I don't think people talk enough about blood sugar regulation. And I know there's a trend right now with these glucose monitors, which make me happy because people had no idea that they have blood sugars or, that there could be dysregulation. But it is really the link to being and staying well. And I think it's really important to make sure you're eating every couple hours to maintain that blood sugar. That's what, reduces our risk of almost every disease
That's interesting because I do eat about that often.
because you're hungry.
At least I think I am.
Yeah,
So,
I
and,
bet you are.
sometimes like my wife will say, well, you're eating again, and I'm like, I'm not overweight, obviously, but,
Yeah,
and I'm in good shape. I'm like, well, yeah, I want to eat right now. And then I'm actually able to stop.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
mean, have I ever overeaten? Of course. Of course I have. I mean, it's just, I think we all have.
Yeah. I mean, think of Thanksgiving dinner. Look at the fear that goes into just talking about Thanksgiving dinner, like there's just too much food. And I don't even think it's that good, to be honest,
No,
but
it
sorry
isn't.
if
Well,
anyone.
there's too much of it, and there's an obligation to sample
Yes.
everything. And
Oh,
you want more? You want more? You want seconds?
yeah.
Oh, now you gotta have pie, and you wind up feeling like not great sometimes at the end. And then
It's true.
you add the tryptophan from the turkey, and everybody's sleeping on the couch,
Yeah, of course. And
sitting
then here
up.
comes the pumpkin pie, which, we can repeat the same meal for the next 3 days and
Oh
just only
yeah.
have as much as we need now, trusting we're going to have more again soon, except we have such short-term memories. We think if we don't eat it, we're never going to have it again. And the truth is I can have Thanksgiving in March.
So if somebody comes to you or is listening and they want to start, they're feeling
Yeah.
lousy. They're sluggish, they're overweight. They know they're not eating well. Most people know when they're not. Most people know it. They're like, well, I'll stop, next year. I'll stop at, I'll make a resolution. What I'll do is, but now they're sick and tired of the way they feel, but they don't know where to begin. And that's where do you begin? Because you can't just stop everything one day and do all great stuff for yourself. Like it doesn't work
Yeah.
like that. Well, how would you, what would you say to somebody that wants to start changing?
So if you want to change or if you want to lose weight, I think you got to get on the right path. And this is really going to take conviction, right? So you have to make up your mind, number one, that you're going to do something for the long term. It cannot be short term. And so back to the 6 rules, what I have figured out is if you follow all 6 of them at 90%, you're going to lose on average about 3 pounds a week. If you follow them about 80%, giving yourself a B, you're going to lose about a pound a week. At 70%, you're going to stay the same weight, which is great. Staying the same weight is awesome, really underrated. And also, if you follow the rules at a D level, you're going to gain weight. And so the rules very quickly are to eat when you're hungry, to start with your normal portion, cut it in half, wait 15 minutes, and come back and see if you need more. There's a fail safe that you won't be overeating because you're going to stop and wait 15 minutes, or you're going to wait a few minutes until you're done eating, which is going to add up to the 15 minutes. And like you said, you eat when you're hungry and only as much as you need, because you also trust that you're going to be able to eat again in 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours, which is good blood sugar regulation. If somebody isn't hungry in 3 or 4 hours, either their body fat is too high or they overate their last meal. We want to be hungry every 4 hours. That's a very good sign. The second rule is to eat what you love, to make sure the food loves you back. The third rule is to eat without distractions. The fourth rule is to start getting 10,000 steps every day. The fifth rule is to get 8 cups of water. And the last rule is to get 7 hours of sleep minimum. The average American gets about 6.5. And that really is figuring out what's going on hormonally or stress-wise. But following all 6 of these rules or getting into a place where you're able to start following these rules is going to help you change and develop sustainable results. We do everything we did yesterday 47% of the time. We like to sleepwalk through our days. And so following these rules, making them your new way, what ends up happening is they become our new routine. And so we start doing them 47% sleepwalking. Instead of overeating, instead of just ignoring the way that we feel, they become our new value system.
I thought that was interesting. You said to eat half of it and then wait.
Yeah.
Because it takes a minute for the brain, or I don't know how many
15.
minutes.
It takes 15
15
minutes
minutes for the brain to register that there's you're sated.
Yeah.
Or close
I mean,
to it.
I'm 51. My rules have been around for probably, 2018, I really started calling them 6 simple rules, but I've been talking about this for 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is that like when you look at these semaglutides or any of these weight loss medications that have hit the market, they're essentially my rules. Because what happens is you eat when you're hungry and then they fill you up faster. The one piece they're also doing is they're able to quiet the hippocampus. Remember, I told you when you are responding to stress in under 10 seconds, it tips off the hippocampus, which tells you food is a good idea. When you take a semaglutide, it actually takes away that noise. And so you're able to actually say, oh my gosh, I'm actually stressed right now. That's what I'm feeling. And then you can reparent yourself. How can I deal with the stress? So by following these 6 simple rules and asking yourself where your mind is the same thing, because now you're taming your mind.
What a wonderful message this is. So tell people how they can let's talk about your book again. Let's talk about that and how people can get a hold of you if they want to start doing some of the things that you can help them with.
That'd be great. Thanks. My book is called This Is What You're Really Hungry For. It is available everywhere books are sold. And I also have a master class that is based on this book that's available on my website, which is kimshapiramethod.com. And my Instagram is also Kim Shapira Method. And I talk about these rules all day long, all over the place. So they're everywhere. I also have group sessions where it's between 8 and 10 women or men who are meeting weekly and working through their journeys together. And I also see clients individually.
Well, Kim, thanks so much for being on the show. Really appreciate your time
It was fun,
and your great message. And folks, Kim Shapira, you know where to find her now. And let's all get healthier. Why not?
Let's do it.
Happier world.
Yeah. Peaceful.
Have a great day.
You too.
Much appreciation for you folks listening to The Exploding Human. The website is theexplodinghuman.com. There's also a YouTube channel where you can listen. That is The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. Once again, I want to thank Kim Shapira for being on the show. Please check her out at kimshapira.com and check out her new book. Thank you.